in the community. They want to see a track record of effective program delivery. They want to see capable leadership. And they want to see a strong organizational and financial infrastructure. They want to know that you have got people on board who have the qualifications to run the program. They don't want to see people that might have a passion, but they have no earthly idea on how to run the program. They want to see people that have economic backgrounds, legal backgrounds, somebody that has the knowledge about the field that you're requesting the funding for. Okay, the world of grant makers. Who supports nonprofits? There are basically 4 different sources. There are private foundations, corporations, the government, and that can be federal, state, and local, and associations, neighborhood groups. Sometimes we refer to this as friend-raising. Okay, what is a private foundation? Do most of you have a basic idea of what a foundation, private foundation is? Usually it's a small group of individuals. It can be a family that has a lot of money. An example here in Dallas would be the Meadows Foundation. And they have their own funds. They're managed by a group of trustees or directors. And they establish themselves to aid the community in funding programs that might be educational in nature, medical, religious, scientific. They are giving money to these nonprofits. And you think, well, gosh, that's really nice of them. In a way, we are helping them because by law, they must give away 5% of their assets. So when you're out there and you've got your hand out, you think, gosh, I'm begging for money. You're not. You're helping these private foundations give their resources. They must also disclose the total giving and grants through a form called the 990-PF, or the income tax return. Okay? When you are approaching a private foundation, you can expect that it will take anywhere from 3 to 12 months to get your funding. It's not the fastest, but it's certainly not the longest in getting funding.
Can we ask questions along the line?
Yes.
Why does it take that long to request foundation?
For several reasons. Some foundations will only meet once a year, so it's going to depend on when you submit your application or your proposal. Other times they will meet more frequently, but they've got so many different proposals in front of them that it takes a while for them to go through it. And they're not just reading it over. A lot of them will come and do site visits. They are not just going to take your word for it. They're going to do a little bit more investigating to make sure that the money that they're giving you is going to be spent correctly. In a lot of the larger foundations, they will literally tear your proposal apart and hand the budget to their number cruncher. They will hand a program description to someone else. And these people know what's going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So they really do investigate, and that's why it does take a while. Okay? Okay, what is corporate giving? A lot of us will probably decide that they want to start researching corporations. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we are extremely lucky in having so many large corporations, and they have been very generous to our nonprofit agencies. Many large corporations will have both a foundation and a corporate giving program. Sometimes instead of giving you money, they will give you in-kind service. And you say, well, I don't know that I really need that. In many ways, that's more helpful than giving you the money. For example, you're starting out with a nonprofit and you need a place to meet. They might have an office building that they're not using and say, okay, we'll rent it to you for $1 a year. And that's a tremendous asset that you can, that way you don't have to pay rent and you can use that money for your programs. Okay, the corporate is, oh, I'm sorry, can we go back once? Sorry about that. The companies give for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they're giving it to an organization that is actually helping their employees. For an example, hospitals or schools where their employees are going, their children are attending, they are more generous helping those sorts of organizations than someone or an organization that is 100 miles away. They want to help out where they are located. At other times they want to enhance their corporate image. They receive tax deductions for this. Sometimes they want to influence policymakers and to improve community life. When you are approaching a corporate foundation, you can anticipate anywhere from 1 to 6 months in the funding. Okay? It's a little bit faster than private foundations. In both a private foundation and a corporate foundation, you usually have to fill out a report at the end of the funding cycle to let them know how the program went, what was successful, what wasn't successful, how many people you served, what you would do differently if they gave additional funds to you. So there's just that one reporting at the end. Okay. Government giving is another source of funding. Sorry, that's all right. The government, it comes from either the federal, the state, or the local, and there's a trickle-down procedure with it. They are going to give for a public purpose of support. There really are no grants to individuals per se with government funding. When you're dealing with the government, you do have to step back and take a look at your agency to determine whether you have enough staff and enough time to go and pursue the government funding. It takes a long time. Usually takes a couple of weeks just to get your profile up online, fill out the information, and then you get your application. And to fill out that application, you're going to be graded on it. So you have to make sure that everything is specific, detailed. When you're dealing with the government, you usually spend more time filling out forms than you would for corporate funding or for private foundation funding. And you can expect to maybe look at 6 to 12 months to get the funding from federal government. Okay, so you need to take a look at your timeline and see whether or not you've got that time. Okay. The last sort of funding that we have would be associations and neighborhood group giving. And this is sometimes referred to as fundraising. More money is given in this manner than any other source. It is also the fastest way to raise money. An example of association and neighborhood group giving. Let's say you have a school at the end of your block and it has absolutely no playground equipment, and you decide that you want to go ahead and put in a playground. All you would have to do is go to all of your neighbors, any of the parents where the kids are attending that school, and ask for money. You're going to get an immediate response. Yes, here's $50. No, I'm not interested. You can also go to the organizations, Lions Club, any organization that was in that boundary, and ask them for funding as well. Back in 2007, $306 billion given to nonprofits. Of that $306 billion, what percent do you think came from corporations? Anyone want to hazard a guess?